Shalom, giving all praises unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Raha, Hudash. Honors be to the elect elders of the nation of Israel that do labor and teach the truth and sincerity. Shalom to all you Akim, you hopeful elect on the highway and hedges, making your body a living sacrifice, according to Romans 12 and verse 1. Shalom to you sincere believers as well, which consist of men and women. Shalom, Brakatham, and as always, Abba Babal, DTA. This is your brother Zakar Aban. All right, this is going to be going into tributaries, okay, as far as these nations forever being up under Israel's rule, right? So just type in this word on tributaries on Google, and I'll write to be edifying. It says in the Bible, the word tributaries refers to people or nations who are subject to a stronger power, right? Which we understand that's going to be the kingdom of heaven, right? Right here on earth, Yahweh Shai, King David, the house of David, which you'll call the elect 1/3. To a stronger power compelled to pay tribute, goods, labor, or money, because that's what these nations will be doing forever, even after a certain period of time where they be serving us for 1,000 years in hardcore slavery, right? They still gonna be paying what tribute, and we're gonna grab it in just a sec. Compelled to pay tribute, goods, labors, or money, in acknowledgement of their submission, or to secure peace and protection. All right, it said to what? To secure peace and protection, because ultimately they're not going to once again have a choice. Okay, so when we go to the scriptures, we're going to see why they're not going to have a choice. Zechariah 14 comes to mind. This often involved a smaller group or people being subservient to a conquering nation, which was a common political and economic system in the ancient Near East, as seen when Solomon reigned over tributary kingdoms. Okay, and we understand that Solomon's reign is what you will call today in modern day term as a prelude. It was only 40 years of peace. Okay, but how much more so when it's forever and ever, right? And Solomon, who is Yahweh Shai, if you can receive it. Acknowledge submission, a key aspect of a tributary relationship, was the open declaration and payment of tribute as a sign of acknowledging the superior power. Once again, is the kingdom of heaven, the house, the house of David ruling. The top of that is Yahweh Shai, which we understand the Heavenly Father is above all. It says economic obligation. The tribute could include various valuable items such as precious metals, livestock, agriculture, produce, or even labor, reinforcing the ruling power economic strength. The system established a clear hierarchy, with one nation or people placed in a subordinate position to a more powerful entity. Okay, then it goes into some of the history. It said the concept of tributary states is prevalent in the Old Testament, Solomon's reign. All right, Solomon's reign. Okay, it says during the height of his kingdom, during the height of his kingdom, many neighboring nations became tributaries, as recorded in 1 Kings 4:21. And we're gonna go right back to this all over again. Like I was saying, that was nothing more than a prelude. It was only 40 years of peace, man. Right? How much more so when things is all the way established, when we cannot go off, where we cannot sin. Right? It says, cannot subject. In the book of Judges, various tribes of Israel were commanded to drive out or subjugate the Canaanites, but instead some allowed them to remain as tributaries, leading to negative consequences for Israel. Right? So, it's pretty much going to our history. So this passage, Deuteronomy 20 and verse 11, this passage directly addressed the concept, stating that if a city submits without a fight, its inhabitants shall become tributaries and serve the conquering people. Okay, so that's what's pretty much going to happen. All these nations, these Canaanites, which are not but Hamites, and every other nation, right, is going to be under the nation of Israel forever. Although they will be in their homelands, we see the history, right, that they're going to forever bring us the best of their goods, right? So let's get into that. And like I was saying, they're not going to have a choice. So before I get Isaiah 60, I do want to make this quick point, because I quoted it in the book of Zechariah chapter 14. Okay, as far as them not having a choice. So the best of their gifts are going to belong to us. So let's go to Zechariah 14, make this quick point, and Lord willing, just be edifying. So this is Zechariah chapter 14, and let's start at verse Let's see where I want to start. Oh, this is good. Let's start at verse 16. It says, "And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem," Jerusalem, is a people before there's a place. Okay. And also, our homeland is actual Jerusalem, but it is a people before there's a place. "Against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year the worship to worship the king." So this will be literal. All right. This them, coming to us, bringing us their gifts, right? The best of their gifts, the best of whatever they, the best of their livestock, their gold, right? Even their women, so on, so on. From year to year, to worship the king, the Yahweh of hosts, and to keep the feast of tabernacles. And this is, once again, they're not gonna have a choice. And why is that? "And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth, these other nations, unto Jerusalem," right, which is the headquarters, right? Now, like I was saying, the people of Israel are actually going to be here, but this is them literally coming to us, the same way they did, during the time of Solomon. "And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem, the headquarters of the kingdom, to worship the king, the Yahweh of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain." All right. So what, you're going to be cursed if you don't, if you go astray, if you don't follow the law. The same way we had to follow, Esau Edom law, right, in America. "And if the families of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain," these are the Hamites, "there shall be the plague wherewith the Yahweh will smite the heathen," the actual heathens, "that come not up to keep the feast of tabernacles," which is, a part of our laws. "This shall be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the feast of tabernacles." Okay. So once again, they're going to be cursed, right? No rain. And when you don't have any rain, then, you are dried up. No crops. So let's drop this. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 60. And let's grab verse 10 and verse 11. Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 10, and it reads, "And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee." Minister goes to what? Serve. They are our servants. This is a part of our, this is a part of what it is to actual rule. What's a kingdom without having peasants? All right. The nations were made for us. The whole earth is made for our sakes. Read the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 6. All right. Verse 59 says that what? Earth is made for our sakes. Okay. Although we not, ruling as of yet. So let's go here to the book of Leviticus 25. Make this quick point. It says, Leviticus 25 verse 44. Right. It said, "Both thy bondmen and thy bondmaids, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen that are round about you. Of them shall you buy bondmen and bondmaids," meaning what? Slaves. It says, "Moreover, of the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them you buy, and of their families that are with you, which they beget in your land, and they shall be your possession." Right. So once again, these other nations are literally going to be our slaves. This is in a part of our laws. Okay. The nations were made just to be, up under us. So back to the book of Isaiah 60 and verse 10. Once again, just make that quick little point. "And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister," meaning what? Serve, "unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee." Right? Because we had to go up on these curses for our disobedience. This says, "Therefore thy gates shall be open continually." Why is that? "They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought." It says, "To receive the wealth." Let's read this in NLT, make it a little clearer. "Your gates will stay open day and night to receive the wealth of many lands." Okay, so that's what, the point I was making, going to what they, them being what? Tributaries forever. So although they're going to be in their homelands, right, after 1,000 years of, hard slavery, ultimately they're still going to be under subjection, because they still are heathens. They are still, our servants. Okay, although they in their lands, really the whole earth belongs to us. So that's why we're gonna get the best of the best. Your gates will stay open day and night to receive the wealth of many lands. The kings of the world will be led as captives in a victory procession. For the nations that refuse to serve you will be destroyed. Like I was saying, they have no choice. Okay, if they refuse to serve us, they will be destroyed. Right? They will be cursed. There's no other way of getting around that. So the best of whatever they have will come to us, will belong to us. All right. And why is that? Because ultimately, once again, they are our servants. Okay, the same way, whatever, matter of fact, let's make this quick point. The same way we would bring the best to get to the Heavenly Father, right, for a sacrifice, that's the same thing. Right? The same way Abel. Matter of fact, let's read this in the KJV in the NLT to prove about the best. Genesis 4 and verse 4. And Abel he also brought of the firstling of his flock, and of the fat thereof. The firstling go to what? The first. And the Yahweh had respect unto Abel and to his offering. All right, meaning what? His gift. So the same way Abel, who was of that righteous lineage, who is the son of God, brought the best of the gifts to the Heavenly Father. These nations, is going to be bringing the best gifts to us. Abel also brought a gift, the best of the firstborn lambs from his flock. The Yahweh accepted Abel and his gift. Okay, so like we had grasped some of the history going to what the tributaries about the nations bringing the gifts to King Solomon, which was a prelude. All right, they're gonna do the same thing all over again. Not only they're gonna bring the gifts, but they're gonna be what? The best of the gifts to us. Right, to to the Heavenly Father and His Son Yahweh Shai, the house of David. Okay, so let's drop this. Let's get First Chronicles, right, and then that'd be pretty much it. Going to the nation being what? Under tributary, giving us their gifts, the best of their gifts. That's why I made that quick point as far as Genesis 4 and verse 4. Not only gifts, but the best. So this is Genesis 4, and we'll start with verse. So like this is First Chronicles 18 and verse 1. But verse 2 and 6 is the point. Let's just jump down just a tad bit. Let's start with verse 1. Now after this, it says David kingdom strengthened. Now after this, it came to pass that David smote the Philistines. That's another subset of the Egyptians, and subdued them. These are Hamites, and subdued them, and took Gath and her towns out of the hand of the Philistines. And he smote Moab, the so-called Chinese today, and the Moabites became David's servants and brought gifts. But did you see that? It says, and he smote Moab, and the Moabites became David's servants and brought gifts. So that's the same thing that's going to happen all over again. All right, this is David. So the house of David is going to conquer. All right, the house of David is going to win. And these nations are going to be right back under, us, right? Up under Israel. Let's read it in the NLT. David also conquered the land of Moab, and the Moabites who were spared became David's subjects and paid him tribute money, right? Which we're going to head to all over again. This is First Chronicles 18 and verse 6, and First Chronicles 18 and 6. Then David put garrisons in Syria Damascus. That's like a post, right? Like a military post, and garrison in Syria Damascus. And the Syrians became David's servants and brought gifts. Thus the Yahweh preserved David whithersoever he went. Let's read it in NLT. Then he placed several army garrisons in Damascus, the Aramean capital, and the Arameans became David's subjects and paid him tribute money. All right, and true money is what? Is silver, is gold, even cattle. All right, let's go into that. What's true money? Real swift. Okay, it says, true riches. It says, and Abraham was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. So that's that true, true money. So the best of what the nation got to offer will belong to the nation of Israel. So First Chronicles 18 and verse 6, it says, and the Arameans became David's subjects and paid him tribute money. So the Yahweh made David victorious wherever he went. And the same thing is going to be, for the house of David, the elect. Okay, David, who is the head of the elect. Yahweh Shai, King David, and 144,000. That's the order on earth, which is Yahweh, the Heavenly Father, is overall. All right, so that's pretty much it. In it there, I'm gonna give all praises and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Raha, Hodash. Honors be to the elect elders of the nation of Israel that do labor, teach the truth and sincerity. Shalom to all you Akim, you hope for elect on the highway and hedges, making your body a living sacrifice according to Romans 12 and verse 1. Shalom to you sincere believers as well, which consists of men and women. Shalom, Brakatham, and as always, a Baba Ball. On to the next, Lord's will. Adonai Ratzazah. Shalom.